You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill news. So nothing's happening, you say? Nothing's happening. Well, here in a tweet from Matt Gaetz, Matt echoes the sentiments of many of us out here in the truth movement and says, lying to Congress is a serious offense. Unfortunately, it appears certain people have the book thrown at them, while others face no consequences at all. That stops today. My Justice for All bill requires equal punishment for those who lie to Congress. Hashtag Hillary, hashtag Comey, hashtag Clapper. Currently, it's got 15,873 likes and only 6,554 retweets. I encourage you to find Representative Matt Gaetz on Twitter and retweet the living heck out of this tweet. Matt Gaetz is one of the few honest people in Congress. And if anybody can get this done, I believe that Matt Gaetz can do it. I believe he would also have the full support of the president when it comes down to it. Now, in our first story of the day, this is from my buddy Guy on Twitter. Guy and Gina, good to see you guys. Another plane crash happens in California today. This happened early this morning. 5 were killed after a plane literally broke apart over a California neighborhood. Let's see what happened. Well, Dave Elfer was getting ready. This was yesterday at the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl. Dave Elfer was getting ready to go to a friend's house to watch the Super Bowl when he heard a whining sound in the Southern California neighborhood, like a motorcycle going about 100 miles an hour. Then, he said, came the explosion from a twin-engine plane that broke apart in flight and crashed, setting a home on fire in the Los Angeles suburb of Yorba Linda, killing 5 people and injuring 2. The whole house shook. I thought it was an earthquake, but the whining sound didn't make any sense. That might mean that somebody had sabotaged the plane. Elfer, 75, said he ran to his backyard and saw a house engulfed in flames. He ran toward it along with a crowd of neighbors, and only then he saw an airplane wing in the street. I didn't realize what it was until I ran around the corner, he said Monday. Across the street, one of the columns of a neighbor's home was collapsed, and debris from the plane was strewn across the street. Another home had broken windows. The 4 people on the ground who died were all in the house that burned. The pilot was also killed and was the only person on the plane, Orange County Sheriff's Lieutenant Corey Martino told reporters. Martino said the dead occupants of the home were 2 males and 2 females, but he did not further identify them. A family friend told NBC Los Angeles the victims were preparing to host a Super Bowl party when the plane came crashing down into their 2-story home. The whole house within a matter of seconds was burning, neighbor Sarah Ahern told NBC Los Angeles. The Cessna 414A, which can carry up to 8 people, took off from the Fullerton Municipal Airport about 12 miles west of the blaze, Federal Aviation Administration spokesman Alan Knitzer said. According to preliminary radar data, the plane reached an altitude of about 7,800 feet, then made a rapid descent, said Elliot Simpson, an aviation accident investigator with the National Transportation Safety Board. The debris field spanned about 4 blocks, he said. The main cabin of the airplane and 1 engine came to rest at the bottom of a ravine in the backyard of a house, and the other engine landed on a street, creating a hole, Simpson said. During the impact sequence, 1 house caught fire, and that's where we have the 4 fatalities, he said. It was not immediately clear what set the 2-story house ablaze. The property where the fuselage ended up is about 3 houses down from the home that burned. Aerial footage from news helicopters showed plane parts, including side panels and a propeller, scattered on rooftops and driveways near the burned house. Sean Winch, 49, said he was out in his backyard when he heard the loud sound. It sounded like a missile coming at my house, he said. He said he saw the plane veer off and debris falling. It wasn't intact, he said of the plane as it was coming toward the neighborhood. It was already breaking up. The crash sent panicked neighbors into the streets. Some tried to run into the flaming house, but explosion sounds came from its garage, and other neighbors called them off, Winch said. It was a boom. It sounded like something exploded. It shook our house, said John Walbart, who lives a block away. He said he ran to the burning house and saw a woman come out with singed hair. The injured were taken to a hospital with burns, said Pokey Sanchez, an assistant chief with the Orange County Fire Authority. A firefighter was also treated for a minor injury. I'm so sorry. This is not something to laugh at, but that name. Clint Langford, who lives about a half mile away, said he was in his living room when he heard a low rumbling. It's the eerie, low rumbling sound that keeps getting louder and louder. It was scary, he said, and then all of a sudden, boom, it shook the house. He looked out his front door and could see plane parts falling out of the sky in the distance. Pat Rogers, who lives about a mile from the crash site, told the Orange County Register he saw the plane on fire and coming apart. Video posted on Twitter showed panicked residents running to the house as it became engulfed in flames and dark smoke. One man used a garden hose to douse a burning wing that landed on the street. Catherine Paulson, 78, said she considered herself lucky because she was not home when the debris crashed down and a piece of the plane landed in a tree right above her roof. It's just devastating, she said. The NTSB will investigate the cause of the crash. Simpson said it will take time to determine the maintenance history of the aircraft, which was built in 1981. Representatives of the manufacturers of the airframe and engines were expected on scene Monday. The wreckage will be transported to Phoenix, Arizona for a forensic examination, Simpson said. Well, we know that there have been several suspicious plane crashes in California. We know that there's a lot of evil things happening in California. Is this someone that they wanted to get rid of? Is this someone that was targeted by someone else? It sounds like the plane was in bad shape up in the air. It was burning. And then what's really interesting is the fact that the fuselage was 3 houses away from the house that was on fire. That was the immediate thought that I had, was that the house is on fire because the fuselage landed there, all the fuel blew up. But that's not the case. So there must have been, multiple parts of the plane that were on fire and not doing so hot. So we're going to definitely check this out. I want to thank Guy for the tip and sending this over. Now, just a real quickie. Someone else on my email sent me a little tip here. Completely forgot about this. On February 11th of last year, our favorite Anon posted 3 words: Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What's coming up here is February 11th, and I'll be very interested to see what happens on that day. Just a little tidbit right there. All right, next, in a follow-up to the Covington schoolboys from the Daily Caller, lawyers for Covington students sending warning letters to media and celebrities. Yes! The legal team behind Covington Catholic High School student Nick Sandmann are sending letters to various media organizations, celebrities, and politicians. It says completely misrepresented the confrontation between the teenager and Native American activists last month and potentially defamed their client. In a story first reported by the Cincinnati Enquirer and confirmed Sunday by the Daily Caller, to the Daily Caller by lawyer Todd McMurdy, the letters have been or will be sent over the next couple of days to media organizations like Fake News CNN, Fake News New York Times, and Clown News Washington Post. Celebrities and politicians like Jim Carrey, Alyssa Milano, Bill Maher, and Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren are also on the list. This is just a list of all-stars, isn't it? It is the first step in a potential and far-reaching libel and defamation suit that McMurdy of the Hemmer, DeFrank, Wessels law firm in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, says would be a significant and unique lawsuit. You can say that again. Most of the mainstream media and others vilified Sandmann, other students, and Covington Catholic High School in general when the youths were shown on camera wearing MAGA hats in Washington, D.C., where they had participated in the January 18th March for Life rally. The students were caught on cameras engaging in spirited dialogue with Native American Nathan Phillips, who falsely claimed to be a Vietnam veteran. I take umbrage with that quote because they weren't even engaging in spirited dialogue. They were just standing there and they were doing their spirit chants while Phillips was in Sandmann's face, drumming that drum like a crazy person. At least partially due to Phillips, the confrontation was widely interpreted as intolerant youths abusing a native elder before greater context was provided. There he is. That's what I was just describing. This is the first time I've seen this kid not smiling, though. Maybe this was after the 10th or 15th minute. Despite clarification and apologies from many, comedian Bill Maher continued to denigrate Sandmann a week later. McMurdy is joined in his legal campaign by lawyer L. Lynn Wood of Atlanta. The letters tell the media outlets and individuals named to preserve all documents or recorded material associated with the incident, including emails connected with reporting the event. McMurdy told the Enquirer that after an initial review, Wood and him believe that they have a good faith basis to sue. at least some of the organizations on its list. McMurdy told the Daily Caller Sunday night that he is very confident that we are going to prevail and attain justice. At minimum, justice will come in the form of apologies and retractions, McMurdy added, and could further include litigation. I sure hope these people get the pantsuit off of them, because they deserve it. They definitely denigrated this kid. They denigrated the school. They caused even his own school, the administration, to come after him and make disparaging comments about him when it was completely fabricated. This guy, Nathan Phillips, a fake stolen valor veteran, came up to him when he was doing nothing, just standing there, guilty of wearing a MAGA hat, guilty of face crimes. This kid is a hero as far as I'm concerned, because he didn't lash out and he didn't do anything that would have lowered his character. He is a true American hero, unlike Nathan Phillips. And in the believe it or not category, I just reported on this the other day. Well, the woman behind the arrest of faith healer John of God after claiming he was running a SEX slave farm commits suicide at her home in Barcelona. Or shall I say she was suicided. This is just unbelievable. A woman who was helping to bring down a Brazilian faith healer accused of abuse has taken her own life in Spain. Right. Sabrina Bittencourt, 38, died at her home in Barcelona just days after accusing John of God, real name João Teixeira de Faria, of running a sex slave farm. She claimed young girls were held captive in a farming operation which exported babies on the black market. The women would be murdered after 10 years of having babies in the alleged scheme run by the 77-year-old celebrity faith healer who was arrested last year after hundreds of women accused him of abuse, she said. And who's surprised? I just wish that they would have gotten her under better protection. I don't know that this case is going to go very far now, because I'm sure that all of the evidence is going to be destroyed. All of the people involved have probably been covering it up, as soon as she came out about it. I'm sure John of God did a lot of covering up himself. John of not God. But, hopefully, I'm not going to lose hope. I'm not going to lose hope entirely. I'm pretty despondent about it, because this woman had, incredible bravery coming forward and getting the word out, accusing him in public. Miss Bittencourt left Brazil and was forced to live under protection after receiving death threats. Her eldest son, Gabriel Baum, confirmed her death, writing on Facebook, "She took the last step so that we could live. They killed my mother." Yep, they sure did. SEX abuse victim support group Victimas Unidas, who worked with the 38-year-old, said, "We announce with regret the death of Sabrina de Campos Bittencourt, which occurred around 9 p.m. on Saturday, February 2nd in Barcelona, where she was living. The activist committed suicide and left a farewell note explaining the reasons why she took her own life." I really, really want to see that note. I don't know that I believe it until I see it. Before her death, she was quoted as saying, "Hundreds of girls were enslaved over years, lived on farms in Goiás, served as wombs to get pregnant for their babies to be sold. These girls were murdered after 10 years of giving birth. We have got a number of testimonies. Hopefully all those people don't end up dead too." Miss Bittencourt had received reports of children being sold for between 15,000 and 40,000 pounds in Europe, Australia, and the United States, she said. And there is the BASTARD right there. And there he is with Oprah Winfrey on a now deleted episode. There he is after he was finally caught on the run with a bag of jewels and about $8 million in cash. Hundreds around the world have already accused John of God of abusing them during healing sessions. The faith healer became a wanted man after 10 women accused him of abuse during a late-night chat show on Brazil's Globo TV network last year. All right, I'm going to stop reading right there because everything else in the article was in my report from the other day. So if you do want to learn anything else about John of Not God, then please check out that video. This is a very, very sad day. This woman was very brave, and I guarantee you that she did not kill herself willingly. All right. And in a vindication moment, exclusive story from the Gateway Pundit, documents show CNN was tipped off on Roger Stone arrest by 29 FBI armed agents, leaked by the deep state. Deep state approved. Roger Stone attorneys provide evidence of Justice Department special counsel leak ahead of conservative author and activist's arrest. Just over a week after his televised arrest was carried exclusively by fake news CNN, attorneys for the longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone have sent a letter to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees detailing how some reporters may have received an early draft copy of the indictment. Documents obtained exclusively by the Gateway Pundit show a copy of the draft indictment without the pacer filing number or official stamps of the court, with metadata on the document identifying it as being authored by AAW, who is suspected to be lead special counsel prosecutor Andrew Weissmann, the pit bull. Gotcha! CNN's camera crew allegedly arrived at Stone's residence a whole hour before the raid, and CNN's Sarah Murray provided Stone's attorney with a draft copy of the indictment in an early morning communique to confirm the FBI arrest. CNN was the only camera crew on the scene of the FBI raid on Roger Stone's home. While CNN has spent an entire week claiming their presence at the FBI raid on Stone's South Florida home was a combination of luck and hard work, the plucky journalists and their luck and hard work, this evidence proves that their source was indeed the Office of the Special Counsel, who colluded with the notoriously anti-Trump news network to produce a propaganda broadcast of the arrest that is reminiscent of the NAZI-era tactics of the GESTAPO and propaganda ministry led by Joseph Goebbels. Stone's attorneys are asking both the House and Senate Judiciary Committees to investigate these leaks and provide answers to the American people on how someone could have obtained sealed grand jury indictments. I wonder how. Well, I think that I've heard, rumblings in the last couple of days that these leaks are happening on purpose now. So that they can show who the leakers are. So now they've proven that Andrew Weissmann is a leaker, all right? And it came from the Office of the Special Counsel. We've got proof positive, so now he's going to get nailed, and there is even more coming out about leakers. Specifically, the president's itinerary was leaked. Now, I bet you that we are going to find out who leaked that itinerary, and they are also going to get nailed. Sweet justice. Speaking of sweet justice, in another story from the Daily Caller, famous rapper discovered to be living in the U.S. illegally, arrested by ICE. Gotcha. 21 Savage, a famous Atlanta-based rapper, was arrested Sunday after ICE officials discovered he is actually a British national and had been living in the country illegally for years, shocking fans who assumed he was born in the U.S. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested unlawfully present United Kingdom national Shahya bin Abraham Joseph, a.k.a. 21 Savage, during a targeted operation with federal and local law enforcement partners early Sunday in Metro Atlanta. ICE spokesman Brian Cox said in a Sunday statement. Mr. Abraham Joseph was taken into ICE custody as he is unlawfully present in the U.S. and also a convicted felon. 21 Savage, whose real name is Shahya bin Abraham Joseph, entered the rap scene with the release of his first mixtape in 2015. The Atlanta rapper steadily grew to fame over the past few years, performing alongside Ludacris, T.I., and other big-name rappers just on Thursday. I Am Greater Than I Was is his most recent album, debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 album chart. The 26-year-old rapper had long been assumed an Atlanta native. 21 Savage never appeared to speak in an English accent, nor did he publicly mention his nationality, leading the public to assume he was born and raised in the U.S. In fact, at the time of this article's publication, an April 2018 report from Interview magazine still claims 21 Savage's birthplace to be Atlanta, Georgia. However, 21 Savage's birth was registered in Newham, a borough of London. The London native was born in 1992 and entered the U.S. legally in 2005. When his visa expired in 2006, he simply remained in the U.S. It doesn't appear 21 Savage's immigration status attracted the government's attention until recently, despite a conviction on felony charges back in 2014. There he is. Anybody who gets face tattoos like that, man, something's wrong. Something's not right. We are working diligently to get Mr. Abraham Joseph out of detention while we work with authorities to clear up any misunderstanding, the rapper's lawyer Dina Lapolte said in a statement. Mr. Abraham Joseph is a role model to the young people in the country, especially in Atlanta, Georgia, and is actively working in the community, leading programs to help underprivileged youths in financial literacy. Something tells me that the financial literacy this guy is going to be teaching at-risk youth in the hood of Atlanta is not anything that you want to be passing on to your children. So basically, This guy has gotten in trouble before because he made some comments about a group of people with money in the world, and I don't know if he was trying to be flattering or if he was trying to be denigrating. But either way, that's what the rest of the article says, and so now, hopefully, either he gets legal or he gets out. All right, and real quick here from the New York Post, Acting AG Whitaker made a surprise appearance at the El Chapo trial today. Wow. They must have really been sweating when they saw this big burly guy walking in. Oh, man. He is an imposing figure. Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker made a surprise appearance at the trial of drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman on Monday as jurors began their deliberations. Whitaker joined U.S. Attorney Richard Donahue in Brooklyn Federal Court, where he shook hands with prosecutors in the case. His appearance came just after jurors in the case retired to begin discussing the charges against Guzman at the end of the months-long trial. Well, I think maybe he was showing up just to send that little message, don't mess this one up, guys. Or maybe he was saying, good job, because he's been watching from the sidelines. I don't know, but that is a strong message. El Chapo, this is a big, big trial, and if they mess this up, I think Whitaker's going to go Hulk on these guys. All right, now, real quick before we finish up with these last few bits, one more post from our favorite Anon. Now, you guys saw my report on Sunday when I talked about the information that was hidden by the FBI, specifically Peter Strzok, regarding HRC and her Chinese connections. Well, remember from this post back in February 22nd of last year, clowns revealed in China and other, 2010, 187. I was talking about that in my video. See, the clown agents were killed as a result of the information taken from HRC server. And back then, our favorite Anon suggested sold intel. HRC open source server, missing emails. The missing emails perhaps had to do with this information right here. CrowdStrike probably went in there and removed those emails specifically. Granted access in relation to the Chinese. Betrayed in relation to those clowns. Only the tip. This is just the beginning. This will be made public soon. And shortly thereafter, it was. President Trump talked about that specifically, talking about the fact that there was Chinese access granted to Hillary Clinton's server. Well, things are getting more and more intense because last month we had this Hawaii executive who was arrested. She's the CFO of Hawaii. And she was arrested in Canada for extradition to the United States. She's got that kind of MK look, doesn't she? So it says here, Hawaii, a Chinese tech giant, is making headlines after one of its top executive, Meng Wanzhou, was arrested in Canada at the request of the U.S. Hawaii is the second largest smartphone maker in the world, behind only Samsung. Meng was reportedly arrested on suspicion of violating U.S. trade law by exporting products from the U.S. to sanctioned countries like Iran. The arrest could have bigger implications for Hawaii, whose practices have been the subject of a years-long federal investigation, as well as for the escalating trade war between U.S. and China. And this is things that they think that you need to know about Hawaii and the incident. Well, essentially, Hawaii was doing business with countries that had sanctions against them, like Iran. All right, so not only that, but they were also stealing U.S. tech. They were importing spying devices, essentially, in the chips and the phones and such that they were manufacturing. Well, guess who else is connected to Hawaii? And shout out to Jackie for turning me on to this. Hawaii reappoints Australia board. This is from 2013. Chairman John Lord and independent director John Brumby and Alexander Downer. Alexander Downer of the infamous Steele dossier fiasco. Wow. And I wonder who else could be connected to Hawaii. Oh my goodness. Bill and Hillary Clinton are also connected to Hawaii. Now this one we're going to read through. When Meng Wanzhou, the chief financial officer of Hawaii Technologies, was arrested in Canada on December 1st through an extradition warrant from the United States, American media described in detail how the company had apparently conspired to evade U.S. sanctions on Iran. Hawaii has long been involved in helping terrorist states and seemingly seeking to thwart U.S. sanctions. Meng is the daughter of Hawaii's founder, Ren Zhengfei. As details of Hawaii's complicity with Iran emerge, it is time to look back on the Clinton family and its close relationship with Hawaii. When their connection was first exposed more than a decade ago, it just seemed like another shady Clinton deal. But now it becomes clear that Hawaii has been central to the Iranian efforts to evade first UN and then US sanctions. The Clintons were apparently conspiring with the enemy. Hawaii has long been a bad actor in undermining U.S. foreign policy. The company has had a deep and long-term relationship with the Clinton family. Hawaii and the Clintons' ties began when Terry McAuliffe, the Clintons' top fundraiser and future governor of Virginia, bought a Chinese car company, Green Tech Automotive, and moved it to the U.S. in the hopes that it would produce electric cars. McAuliffe got Hawaii to invest in Green Tech through a financing firm called Gulf Coast Funds Management, headed by Hillary's brother, Tony Rodham. Gulf Coast, boasting the Rodham name, agreed to help Hawaii get visas for its top executives under the EB-5 program, which awards visas to those who invest at least $500,000 in the U.S. to create jobs. The feds had already turned Hawaii down because of its links to the Chinese military. Hawaii's misdeeds are plentiful. It helped Saddam Hussein install fiber optic cables in violation of U.S. sanctions. It also helped the Taliban by installing a phone system in Kabul, Afghanistan. It stole proprietary material from U.S. high-tech company Cisco Systems. This material ended up in Chinese hands. In 2013, Hawaii tried to sell telecom equipment made by Hewlett-Packard to Iran in defiance of sanctions. And until a few weeks ago, the parent company of Hawaii's Iranian business partner was partly owned by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is playing the key role in Iran's nuclear program. According to the South China Morning Post, the U.S. action against Hawaii will severely damage, even cripple, the Chinese company. Of Hawaii's 92 core suppliers, 33 are U.S. corporations, including chip makers Intel, Qualcomm, Broadcom, Marvell, and Micron. If Washington now prohibits these companies from selling to Hawaii, the Chinese telecom giant will struggle to survive. And if their full role in the liaison with Hawaii comes out, so will Bill and Hillary. This is great. So nothing's happening, huh? Well, I'd like to think that whoever thinks that is wrong. All right, we've got one more little tidbit for you from my friend Methods on Twitter. So we all know about the Jussie Smollett debacle over the weekend. Jesse went out for a walk in the middle of the night to go to Subway. He got a sub, and apparently he claimed that he was attacked by some people wearing MAGA hats. They then poured bleach on him at like -5-degree weather when bleach will freeze at 19 degrees above zero. And then he walked home with a noose around his neck apparently and some bruises. He said that he had a rib broken. He also said that he was on the phone with his manager, but then he refused to give his phone to the police. The police cannot find any video evidence to support his claim. They also show that he walked home with his sandwich. So during the scuffle, he was able to save his sandwich. And, most importantly is that noose. Well, Methods put it together here that Kamala Harris recently tried to pass an anti-lynching bill. And then suspiciously, just after that, her friend Jussie Smollett shows up wearing a noose and pretends that it was put on him by some MAGA people. Well, Kamala failed, and she says this: Jussie Smollett is one of the kindest, most gentle human beings I know. I'm praying for his quick recovery. This was an attempted modern-day lynching. No one should have to fear for their life because of their sexuality or the color of their skin. We must confront this hate. Well, it looks like the whole thing was a farce, probably set up for Kamala Harris and Jussie Smollett to have some type of press conference, and then this is right after she announces that she's running for president. But this thing is on him, and I hope that it blows back on Kamala Harris. Well, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining me. If you have not yet, please like, share, and subscribe this video. It really, really helps out if you do that, because then it helps YouTube tell other people that they need to watch it. If you would like to help me out, then you can do so by checking out the description of the video below. You can also check out all of these articles in the description below. If you can only help me out by watching this video and sharing it, that's fine, because that's 99% of you out there. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News.